Hey, what's up, crypto media friends? Back here with the Overtime Show in Los Angeles. Man, I tell you, I've been going through a really tough series of productions. It's been a tough time out there post COVID, and I think the union is getting ready to strike, and we're hearing about this in the media, and with good reason. There's the hours are just insane right now. Everyone's really trying to push the content out. There's been such a backlog. I'm here at the studio a lot, and I see people just working crazy long hours, and I'm not here to talk about or speak about any of that stuff, but I certainly support the workers, in their push to try and get better wages and better fair living conditions by way of their wages being increased, and certainly trying to push productions to control the scope of what we're trying to accomplish each day on set. And I've just been going through some really tough ones myself, where I think that I don't know who needs to hear this, but I always find solace with I remember Dana White, head of the UFC, saying, like, just life is every day. Life, it's, you wake up, it smacks you in the face. That's how it's supposed to be, in some regard, and I feel like that, with production, that's kind of how it feels, and if you play that narrative as if, like, oh yeah, it's hard on me or something, it can be really challenging to get through work like this, and I'm lucky I don't have that perspective. I find it exhilarating and fun and engaging, and I find the smacks to be, I don't know, maybe it's a Catholic thing or something, but I'm just like, bring it on, like, let's get it done. And so I wanted to bring on some crafting of how I'm approaching this modest bear market. I think there was a little sort of hiccup with the China FUD, which there seems to be a lot of. But we have, these great communities within crypto land that have each other's back. And, you look at sort of, the projects, the big projects that we all know of, like Bored Apes, and you're like, oh, it's not really, dipping as hard as other projects. And, it's because those communities, as we talk about in this show, take care of each other in a lot of different ways, whether that's, being there to have a chat, maybe offering some advice on, how to mint, very simple, basic things, and certainly helping to stabilize the floor. I think each group has this sort of, these patrons, if you will, these whale patrons who sit there on the floor, and they'll help it out. They'll just sit there and buy. And I think that perhaps there's some of the people that are part of the project. I've certainly noticed in Vogu, like, Traxi was buying up all the floor at certain times, and I think that's part of the community development. And I've been looking at projects that have sort of passed and gone by and have lost vogue even, and that's what brought me back to the craniums. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Was man, I tell you, it was really nice when you're at the forefront of NFT drops, and you see, like, all the promises of the roadmap, right? It's going to be so amazing, and then to go into a project that's already been there and had its development, and it was like going to, like, I don't know if you go into, like, a vintage store and, like, try it on a nice leather jacket, like a cool leather jacket that's just been worn and it feels good. That's kind of what it felt like. It was just like, it was a cool experience, because projects that we've sort of have lost vogue in a sense, they've still been going, they've still been developing, and they've built utility and community in interesting ways. And so I think for me, I came back to craniums. I've been doing a lot of sort of ones that have passed me by in terms of pricing and what have you, and to kind of come back to these projects, I'm like, oh well, I could buy this now. And so I went with looking at craniums, and it was so funny because I came across and I'll reveal there, this guy, and I thought, like, oh wow, he looks cool. He's got, like, the regal outfit. I've always been a fan of the again, like finding the rarities. For me, clearly it's tops, right? The rarities, the outfits, and then like whether that's the vape thing, the headphones, or even the goggles here. Finding something to sort of hang my hat on in terms of like a rarity that gives me a floor to trade upon. And so this is the Chieftain, called the Chief for some reason. It has like this regal sort of look, and so that's like, there's like 250 or so of those in the collection. And I noticed that this was pretty far below the floor for some reason, and so I investigated and looked at it. I was like, this one looks so familiar. Does it look familiar to anybody else? Because I don't want to blow the surprise, but I'm gonna walk through this with you. I looked at 1% have this trait of the Chief Cranium, and the diver and the gin color and the headphones. This was sort of a nice rarity one. Ended up sort of being 1,300 or so. I don't know, but it didn't matter because I was just like, this is cool. But why did it look so familiar to me? And so I went to the previous owners. And I'm like, I looked in the history, the pricing history. Oh, okay, somebody bought 0.89. They're looking to get out of the project now. And does anybody see anybody that's familiar to them? Certainly, coming through, NFTs and learning about NFTs, earlier this year, I came across the DEFIANT, and this gentleman here is the host of the show. And that I think did this really great expose or introduction on NFTs that I thought was so seminal and so important to the space. And one of the projects and one of the NFTs that he showcased was this one, and I was like, this is this guy's. And so I think we've talked about this with other projects. Like the idea of provenance to me has meaning like who's owned it before you, has some modest appeal. And I kind of looked through, and he seemed to just want to be getting out of the project. I think he had really, really high hopes for this project, and he had a wallet full of craniums. And to be fair, he just seemed to want to get out of it. And so they were all priced pretty decently, and so I picked it up. It's a very far less than the floor, and so it's one of those buys where when you drop it into the Discord and you're like, hey, I picked this up, hi guys, they lose their mind. They're like, oh my gosh, you got that one. And so they really were sort of embraced to, you feel embraced to some degree of like, hey, good eye. And the others, some people are just like, why would that dude sell? And there's probably some rationale. Maybe we'll ask him onto the show and ask why he's trying to develop some liquidity for other things. Funny enough, like he was getting big into evols, which I didn't quite know what they were. And, just kind of like, again, it's all crypto, it's all open. You can see whatever everybody else owns. Just kind of checking out sort of his collection. He had a lot of these, and it really struck me as interesting because the mass seems to be based upon the rapper Rumor. If anybody knows Rumor, subscribe, because you are like my people. It was Rumor had done this about 2 years ago, just this very controversial song that was so freaking beautiful. It was an amazing song, but it was very, very controversial. But like he was coming with a very unique spin on things, and it was just so funny, like because then he did an album with with Timbaland, and it was really nice. It was a great collaboration. Musical history aside, I'm driving down Melrose, and like I see people, and I want to stop if I think I'm going to hit them. And so one of these people, I was like, oh, this person is about to jump into the road. I'm going to stop. Now, that's not standard in Los Angeles. Los Angelinos will, honk and then, zoom by. I stop and I allow, because I know this person, he doesn't see me, and he's going to turn around, and he's going to go right in front of my car. And if I don't stop, dead person. And so turns around, and it's Rumor. He's got like the full mask, just like this Evol. And he's just like, and he looks at me and he realizes that like I stopped, and I don't know if he realized I saved his life, but it was just a weird moment because then he looked at me, and then like, because he's wearing the mask too, I have a recognition, and I'm just like, dude, it's Rumor. And he just always wearing the mask is probably like, this guy thinks I'm gonna like bring an AK-47 and shoot everybody, so he starts bolting out. And so I was just like, it was just kind of like an awkward moment with somebody. Sorry, what a rabbit hole, but like this sort of seeing this collection sparked that in me, and I was like, what a cool collection. This is such a interesting, just an urban inspired cherub that I think is kind of dope. I'm gonna look more into this. I think that it had its moment in September. Certainly got a bunch of traits that you can trade off of, but it just looked cool to me. Here you go. So September 1st. It's just kind of through the month. It's lost some luster, but I think just as a look, I think it's just kind of cool to me. It's one of those I'm going to sort of look at the Discords and see, the price is right. Low enough to maybe get into the piece, because I find it just transgressive enough. So I bought this Wicked Cranium, but before I did, I went and sat in the Discords, and the Discords were so there was no hype. Everyone was level-headed. And it immediately made me want to buy. I literally bought. I just sat in I was like, oh, I've been in the Wickeds for a long time, and so I went back into the Discord. I actually signed out, logged back in, and it was just like, it was such a calm, nice experience. I think I experienced this in Vogu. I experienced this in other more mature projects that, you have friendly people who love the project. They're willing to help, and they'll answer questions, and I think they're looking for good people to join their community. And so they introduced me to what's coming up on the roadmap, which is Loot, which is, you have until this Friday, I believe it is, if you want to get in on if you don't know what Loot is. I think I have a previous video that sort of overviews the notion of the traits, and you see them back over here in my opening, where it has like just random traits that are associated with a particular NFT. Now this can be details as superpowers, professions, things like they're saying here, and it leaves a lot to be thinking about the metaverse and gaming applications. But I think what I love about those is they are, if you have creative people in your Discord, they spark immediate collaborations. Like, people want to, like, oh cool, well then if there's this layer of this thing, like you can see the play happening. In one of my previous videos I showed you Loot for punks, and you can see the play. And so it was a nice idea that I think that they're going to throw it in there, but it's just it's a free plus the gas to mint, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But so you get one per cranium that you own. And staking, I thought, was really interesting. I sort of jumped the gun because I saw staking. Immediately, I go to CryptoKongs. I'm like, okay, I'm buying. Literally, I think that was probably the thing that was just like, oh my gosh, nobody knows that they're doing staking. They're going to announce sort of how they're going to do it this Friday. But let's pump the brakes, playa, because their version of it is not as tokenomics based. It's more NFT based, which I thought was very interesting, even more interesting in a way, because if you scroll down just a little here, you see that they're going to be doing staking for more NFTs, which is, I felt it was a bit redundant, because I'm just like, well, I guess maybe it'll stabilize your price if you're staking it. Maybe that's interesting. But I feel like if you're a holder, just drop me the NFT and like, let's call it a day. But they're asking you to stake it, and so then potentially that stabilizes the project. So a nice idea, but it was really coincidental. Much like the Rumor hitting Rumor with my car, almost, is that the artist that they've paired with is the artist for Halos. And Halos is one of those ones where I've just been like, should I talk about it here on this channel? If I talk about it, there's only like 50 or so. It's just like, there's less than 100. Well, I guess there's 100 Halos. Maybe there's like 240 or so total in this project of Halos. But Halos is it's very sprawling because he keeps doing more collections and they're successful. And then like he does more of the collection and that's successful and that sells out. And then he just does more and he tears down. And so, but the original Halos are something that a lot of great people in the space, investors in the space, are actually looking at and keeping an eye on. I see everyone watching an eye on Halos. The original collection is a bit pricey, about 3 ETH-ish or so, but you can get the variations of it, where you can get like one of 30, one of 40. It ends up being like one out of 38 for some reason-ish for each of these. And I think they're beautiful. I think the art is really cool. That's what drew me into it at first. There's a multi sort of duality to the art, and maybe I'll review it later. But what I thought was interesting was that they're pairing with they're partnering in a collab here with Wicked Craniums, and so you stake, and then you get one randomly distributed, and you'll receive one. So that's the thing, is like I was trying to understand, because this is so unique, because the Halos is very personal. It's not a mass produced, and the artist, I think it's Chris G or G, quite new relatively. He got super hot a couple weeks ago by doing a nifty gateway drop, and so all the Halos kind of went up, and I think that's what really made people truly examine this artist Chris and his work. I just didn't see any other momentum in that project to get it ahead, and I was just kind of looking for ones I like that I do until I'm priced out again, and you smart people go and scoop these up. Don't do that. This is not financial advice, but check out the artist. He's very cool. But this take on the cranium, so ostensibly, from what I'm hearing, is you might get one that's much like the one that you have, that you own. I think that would be super, super, super awesome, because to get one that's as an interpretation of yours would be quite incredible. Like, imagine, sort of the my guy with the headphones and the vape stick and everything. I think that's kind of cool to get one that's an interpretation of this artist, of yours. And so you do have to have one of their, they have the companions, like all these projects have, the dogs, the mutts, what have you. This one has the stallions, the wicked stallions. So you have to have one cranium and one wicked stallion, and if you have those, you have the ability to participate in this project. And so again, it's just so nice to step into being in the midst of this progress. It just felt so nice. Like I went and I'll show you. I was able to mint the loot, and I was able to say, okay, cool, that's that step, and then I can incorporate and have fun with that. And then like, oh, hey, there's this really awesome collab coming up. That's really dope. And then there's this Bone Shake LA. It was a curious thing to hear in the Discord, but I was like, after further investigation, I found it was just a meetup. In real life meetup, it's the thing that early on, I think a lot of people were going to Bored Ape Yacht Club for VFriends 4, because the idea that we're all going to meet up and hang out is appealing. And my gosh, we've just been sitting isolated from each other watching these videos. How great is it's going to be so awesome to meet you guys, honestly. When I see you guys out at the NFT conventions, or at the Bone Shake LA. So you have just this in real life, thing that you can go to. There's going to be another one in New York next month, and it's just, it was just nice to step into a functioning community as opposed to staring at something like Sevens where it's just like, oh, we're promising this and we're promising that, and you see it's just so far away. It's really this far away because they're still planning and they're still this is all new to everybody, and so the people with the experience on how to do that are doing it on other projects, and so that's why I always think that mods are just going to be the next DJs are just going to be so indispensable in communities. And so just really quickly, this is how I looted the mint for minting loot. You just go to the website. It's just, they made it super simple. You connect your wallet, whichever wallet you'd like to connect, and it showed me there's my block number, my count. Sorry, it's giving me that ostentatious thing there, and I mint, and I think I got the lowest gas fee I've seen. That's the lowest gas fee I have seen in months. So I was like, yes. I was like, yeah, confirm that. Let's just confirm that right away now, please, before it changes. I feel like an hour later it was like $80 again. And so loot has been minted, and then check the OpenSea, and it was there. And so they're going to do a big reveal for their community later to give them an idea of what it is, what it means to the community, and in a big reveal event. And so like I said, I've been doing this for a lot of different communities, looking at the ones that pride themselves on community, because ostensibly that's going to help you weather the storm of the bear markets, of the impending changes, community, rarities, these very specific rarities that are and become their own fine art as collectibles. There's certain aspects to collections that are so unique to this space, and I find it super exciting. And so, as you're thinking about making your own, think about those things and how to develop your community and what it's based in. Like Animatus was just like, hey, Animatus, that's where we're at. So they started with this really strong base of people who are, fans of a certain type of thing. And, they just translated that outward into, a 90s video game that's very alive and very, you can contribute to and engaging. And so there's different ways of connecting with the community. I think it starts, with genre in a sense. And so that's probably what kept me away from Wicked Craniums from the beginning. I instead went like Vogu and Animatus, kind of that route, because I understood those genres. Those were a bit closer to me. But as communities like Crypto Dads and stuff like that, maybe even the Lions to some degree, it's just like, well, there really isn't a genre core there, but there is sort of like hey, we appreciate the art, but even more so, we appreciate the type of person that's able to that's there in these discords. After sort of the dust settles, I felt like this was so much nicer to be engaging in a discord with these communities that are more established. It was far more rewarding in terms of conversation and at a better time, because when you're in sort of the newer projects, it's just like, oh, say this is the best project. You just keep having to type it, and and it's just like just the the Snoop Dogg gifs just unendingly. Oh, this is the best thing ever. And if you say like, oh well, oh no, you suck because this this is the best thing ever. How dare you, FUD? So it's a very linear thought process on those discords, and it was just nice to join a community that was a bit more established and is looking to improve. And I think that they understand fully that they are a marquee name, well known, had massive success on their launch, and are looking to try and understand how to keep that momentum going into the future, because this is early days. This is so early. I mean, they started in June, so this is 3 months ago, and it seems like forever, right? Holy cow! Do you guys remember when this launched? When Wicked launched? Wow. So it's been three months, guys. In terms of just like sort of the big bull market push and these landmark projects hitting, and please like and subscribe. I do this live so that you guys can get some real time understanding of market conditions, and letting you know when the drops are, and I hate the idea of this coming to you in a search, that you're doing, like, wow, Wicked Craniums are at 5. How did that happen? And you're like, oh wow, if I would have got in on this, I would have gotten all the drops too, on top of this. So please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. And let me know what you guys are looking at in terms of past projects that you're returning to, down in the comments section, because it's been exciting. It's been really rewarding, honestly, going back to projects that had their big heyday, and just kind of looking at how these communities are coming together to whether that's salvage their floor price, or create competitions, or meetups, or even Sevens is starting to push into their treasure hunt. There's these fun things happening, and I'd love to hear more about them myself, because there's so much happening. So please put it into the comments section down below.